Hopefully, a lot of you who live in Texas weren't suffering from the power outages that have unfolded over the past week and past weekend. But many of you probably are unable to watch this show because the power is still out, as upwards of 75,000 customers through the South are still without power this morning. But I specifically want to focus on Texas, which, of course, Governor Greg Abbott, who spoke out about the power grid ahead of time, saying that promising that the power would stay on in Texas, right? The power grid here in Texas is sufficient. Don't worry about it. Even though he had signed a number of bills and legislation around it. We'll get into that in a minute. But here, let's just remind you, here's what the governor said, that the power will stay on this winter.
His expectations for the grid.
Confident it's going to stay up?
Listen, very confident about the grid, and I can tell you why, and that is, for one, I signed almost a dozen laws that make the power grid more effective.
So now that we have more power outages in the state of Texas because of this deep freeze, showing that the Texas power grid is not up to par.
Power grids don't run on laws. The laws of physics, electricity.
They don't?
They don't, electricity doesn't follow.
So you mean when I pass
legislation?
When I pass legislation in the state of Texas that benefits oil and gas companies and makes loopholes for them to weasel their way out of being part of...
that's why they're in this mess, is because Texas is the only state in the U.S. that has a privatized municipal power system.
Oh, interesting.
Whereas in the rest of the United States, they work together. Texas wrote laws to take themselves off of federal grids, saying, no, we can handle it, right? But why would they do that is because the companies that run those grids make a heck of a lot more money. So there's private interest there, right? Now, you would think that they would have learned after last year's deep freeze that, hey, this is not an awesome system. Private interest is not keeping the heat turned off in deep freeze, but maybe they thought that that was a one-off type situation. We won't get this deep of a winter again. We won't be taxed again. And so Mother Nature was like, that's cute.
Right.
Let's see what you're going to do with this one.
And specifically, 6 counties were particularly affected. Texas power outages hit counties where people need electricity for medical devices. So this is not just like, hey, my food is going to spoil. This is, hey, grandma may die as a result of not having adequate power to support her medical devices to save her life. It's interesting because when Governor Abbott was asked about this, then, of course, the other day, he backtracked on this. We're totally fine thing on the power grid is going to be fine. Listen to him backtracking now, saying that, well, we can't control the weather. You want us to control the weather on top of our power grid?
It could be either ice on power lines that would cause a power line to go down, or it could be ice on trees. That doesn't mean that there are challenges with the power grid.
Oh, so now instead of, and then he said, I don't see a big major load event happening. Oh, okay. So he's fully backtracked now on this. We got it covered because of the laws that I signed in. So if you start digging into those laws, you realize, there was quite a bit of loopholes for these big businesses. Your oil and gas buddies, who, by the way, donated millions to your campaign. Interesting. Yes. Interesting how that works, where these companies donate millions to your campaign for governor, and you write in loopholes in legislation that gets them out of critical infrastructure components of the legislation.
Yes.
I mean, this is a big bowl of hypocrisy. And
I guess the bottom line is they didn't fix it. They were supposed to last year. They could have they had a whole season, right? A whole calendar year since this happened to say, maybe we should not, maybe this privatized system is not so good. Maybe we need to, now they're saying they might have to have what's called load shed events, which is planned blackouts because not everyone can get power at the same time when everybody needs it, right?
Which, by the way, is what Ted Cruz mocked about California, about the blackouts, the rolling blackouts. He's like, look at, this was Ted Cruz tweeting about this. Look at California, how they can't handle power. Oh, really? Ted Cruz, who, leaves his state and flies to Cancun when his state's in trouble and has to do the exact same thing now as a result?
Well, we don't know if he's gone to Cancun. He probably really wants to, though.
Right. But, hey.
But would not dare.
So there you go, Texas. Let us know. Hopefully you guys are, I'd love to hear from our Texas viewers today what you guys are dealing with down there. But again, at this hour, still 70,000 as of yesterday, 70,000 Texans still without power, and across through Tennessee, the entire area hit with this deep freeze. So our thoughts are with you guys as you deal with this down there. If you like this content, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Also, we have a membership program. For the price of a cup of coffee once a month, you can support independent journalism just by going to morninginvest.com/join.
You get access to exclusive videos, plus the ability to join and chat with us live. We really appreciate your subscription, and you are supporting independent journalism.